get drip with it, that's sick, hit it. I said minute, I'll admit it any minute. I went ape shit, .08 kid. Cost basis had them looking for the matrix, but it ain't there though. Nah, it ain't there though. Just me, myself, and Genie polishing the ground flow. Bagging unknown, then the court knows. Good slapping vibes, how that month go. Blue beams banging, pot of gold waiting. Data at rest, but the DM's never patient. Try to put a deal together on a one-way street.
Yo, we're back with the Never Fade podcast, EP4. FaXx, what's Gucci, brother? How you doing?
Never Fade, episode 4. I'm good, man. I don't think I'm as good as you.
No,
you
you're not.
look like you had a good time in Miami. I missed it, unfortunately. But you were there to represent, dude. You're back. Like, what was your overall experience at Art Basel?
Art Basel, baby. Don't even worry about, the lefts you took on Down Bad Ave and didn't find your way to Miami. I'll say this, like, as a precursor, I'm so glad I didn't live in Miami during the bull run. I'd have way too many NFTs. I would have probably fully leveraged the fam. Like it would have been Down Bad Ave for sure. But actually, one thing I did say to Gordon Goner at one of the events was like, you have encapsulated the vibes of Miami in the Bored Ape Yacht Club. And like people who have not been to Miami like myself, that was lost on us. Like those apes are everywhere. The vibe is there. The murals are crazy. The art world is nuts. Like I felt so stupid contacting artists over Twitter. You just drop down to Miami and look at the murals and hit up their Instagrams or like email them. The art there is fantastic. And I think there's no doubt that it's the burgeoning spot of the Web3 culture. Other thing too is like they operate on a lot of cash there, which is crazy because it's like a crypto capital, but they operate on so much cash. I had to count coins, man, for the first time.
Interesting. So you think did BAYC show up in Miami at Art Basel? I mean, what was the vibe out there?
There's no doubt that the fact that they can drive the foot traffic, they drive immense foot traffic. It's undeniable. Like the brand needs to expand. Bake needs to have like GA events for people to pay to get into because the demand is there. Like there's line management issues. The founders knew it. Like they were feeling good. They were feeling bullish. They were trying to open it up to their home city of Miami. Like no fade on them. They drove an immense amount of people, a great line. There are projects that would kill for that type of demand. So the fact that they just need to shore up some check-in process deals, not a big deal at all. I unfortunately didn't make my way into the NTS party because of the line. And I was, sad boy sad when I didn't get on I didn't get a ticket and I was waitlisted. 6 apes can't even get you to the front.
How do you feel about that? Because, dude, they should roll out the red carpet for Goodmonth, man, for Trip Summers. I mean, that's my opinion. I mean, what do you think about that? It's like a logistics thing. It's like growing pains. Like, what's up?
Logistics things for sure. I mean, I think that they need some risk management. They need a little bit more experience in that side of the world. Will they get there? And I'm excited today because we're actually talking to Bored Ape G, who's on the call right now, who's going to be running for Ape Coin Council. So I think, that type of experience is needed specifically, across all of Yuga. But how I feel about that, man, I see this as an opportunity because I think that it really gives Yuga Labs a chance to step back and assess what membership into a club means. Because at this point, if you are holding a Bored Ape Yacht Club for this long at this point in time in the market, you're not, unless you're a active trader like Eric and Franklin and things like that, and you're making your bills on your spread, you're here for networking, right? Like you're time broke. I'm time broke. I showed up to that line. I saw that line. There's no way. I had to go get other opportunity elsewhere because I got to make time. I got to make my time worthwhile when my boots are on the ground. But, my mind kind of started going crazy. Like maybe you get the trippies together at a dinner and it's basically like Yuga organizes the dinner. The Trippy's got enough money to pay for the dinner. We don't need a free dinner, but we do maybe need a dope reservation where we can all gather and maybe get a dope ride over to the front line and walk in and upcharge us into the Trippy Lounge or the Trippy Blue Beams Lounge where we pay an extra $100 just to flex. I'm not opposed to it. But at the end of the day, right, I'm time broke, not money broke. I need the time made up for me.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I mean, okay, so let's just looking over your experience at Art Basel in general. Like, what was one thing that you were especially impressed by?
The brand activations are there. Like the IRL world, the IRL brands are tapping in. The ones that are trying, they're tapping in large. Adidas Originals, they're into the metaverse setup. One, they're damn near best to show with Pusha T going out and rapping as if it's an art gallery around those holders. Like, what an experience. The way that you were able to try on the virtual gear, whether it means something to buying a product in Adidas or not, like, what an experience, right? People minted this virtual gear online a week ago, show up to Basel and get to wear it and take a photo. Like, that's just immersive. It's something to do, right? It's really is connecting digital and IRL.
Yeah, and I mean, like to your point, I think one of the things that attracts us and a lot of other people to the space is the opportunity. You know, it's like this canvas of opportunity where you can kind of paint in your strokes, like things, events, experiences, or whatever you think would go well. And I, to the point of like the dinner, it also becomes like a question of like, you know, what is the responsibility of the team at Yuga versus like the sub communities, and how do you get that organized? And I think we might touch on some of that today when we talk to Bored Ape G. But before we get to him, you know, what's something specifically in Miami that you thought was a big fail or just, you know, fell flat in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, before we get there, I also want to call out Goblintown. Like, those folks really embody the interoperability of the metaverse. Like, they killed it with a Macy's party, like an abandoned Macy's. They had goblins spraying out mustard on people, like with fancy clothes, like showing up and getting doused in mustard and giving no fucks. Let's go, Goblintown. Like, that's thematic. So Goblintown, best of show across the board. They also had a truck rolling around. They stopped at one of my events. Somebody won some one-on-one art, almost brought tears to their eyes. Like, Goblintown, Adidas Originals, I'd say those are best to show. You know, there were some sad boy moments, like to your question, like Doodles put money out for a great immersive event for miniature golf. I think they missed it on what the community actually wanted. Like, I don't think Doodles show up to miniature golf. Like, I don't think they listen to the community. And every time I walk by 4 times. I never went in myself, but every time I walked by, I saw more people working the event than people showing up at the event. And we actually stopped by on our way to the Bored Ape NTS party, and like the private holder party was extremely empty, while people were willing to wait in a line to just run a risk at getting into the Bored Ape club, you know, party. So at that point, these communities, even though you have a lot of volume on chain, even though you are making a lot of money, you need to reach out to the communities that got the pulse of the people and just associate yourself and make it for all, right? We got to get interoperable faster than not. And I think that's like Goblintown tweeted out to Bored Ape Yacht Club people being welcome at their party. Some people saw that as cringe. I don't understand how you see that as cringe, giving people opportunity and access as a GA and just calling one of the biggest calling one of the biggest collections to come party with you. It's just nice. Like, that's where we got to get.
Yeah. No question about it. I mean, a lot of people have criticized Doodles, at least on Twitter, for like their communication style or lack thereof. You know, I don't know what's going on in their Discord. You know, it could be that there's a lot of communication and networking excitement in the Discord, but I'm not in that Discord and I don't really see it on Twitter. I mean, do you feel like what you saw in terms of that event, not really getting, I guess, like a lot of in real life engagement? Do you think that's subsequent to kind of that lack of communication online?
Yeah, I think so. I think every time somebody asks for them to communicate with them, it's them saying, I'm in the dark. And so when you deploy this capital, you know, the number that I heard that they deployed on this event is astounding. I'm not even going to put it out there because that number can't be real. If that number is real, that is a crime.
Put it out there. Let's put it out there.
I heard 3
3 M's.
I heard 3 M's.
What?
I can't say that that's not a conspiracy, right? So I can't say that
for the putt.
Yeah, that's the number I heard. So I doubt it. Like that's a lot of money. You got to do a lot more things to spend that money. So we might need to scrub this from the podcast. But my point being is all people want to do is hear what's going to happen with the community and token that they hold. And they put something out there thinking that would get them, thumbs up and kudos. And it doesn't move what the token holders want. Like, I think FOMO is one of those things that people aren't really standing for anymore. Like, FOMO worked in the bull run, but we've been through this, bludgeoning bear that people don't want FOMO anymore, right? They want to be able to show up, and they want to be able to understand what their next participation level could be in this community. Like, if you're going to do a putt-putt event at Basel, you better have communications about how you're bringing that putt-putt tour to everybody across the world. Otherwise, don't do it. Cooltopia, this was what happened with Cool Cats at NFT NYC as well. They put up something called Cooltopia. It was cool. People were like, yeah, this would be great if I could bring my kids to it. But like, where is it? Where's the investment? Is it going to pop up next to Disneyland? Are they going to buy out some, animal shelter next to Disneyland and call it Cooltopia? I don't know. We haven't seen it.
Yeah, I feel you. So the NFTs colors are bright and pastel, but Doodles holders are in the dark about what's going on. And you end up to spend a lot of funds on an in real life event that was only able to really positively impact a limited number of people. So, live and learn, I guess. Live and learn. Well, while you were gone having a good old time down in Miami, I was in home base and I was scanning the meters, seeing what's going on, and some interesting things did develop in terms of some of the topics we've talked about recently. And one of those things was in regards to SBF. So SBF,
you still call him by his initials, huh? You think he won that back on you, huh? That PR strategy worked, huh?
We'll go with Basic Sam. That's a good call out. So Basic Sam has taken to Twitter Spaces to tell his story. Evidently, like, to the dismay of his legal team, he went on a couple of spaces that I was able to listen to. So this is pretty interesting to see, because Twitter Spaces on Twitter app with Elon's kind of involvement and backing is really taking a new form, and it's starting to become more and more disruptive to mainstream media. I think originally the whole idea of Twitter was to be disruptive to mainstream media, but I think over the years there's been different kind of alliances, and they start to influence each other. And now we're seeing that with the Twitter files that are being dropped, which is like a whole nother topic that, I'm not trying to get into politics today. But like some things that Sam said or almost like confessed to were like kind of crazy. And one of those things, he's constantly kind of saying that he wasn't running Alameda, and what was going on at Alameda wasn't his direct responsibility. And he continues to say like that was an oversight and a mistake of his. But when it comes down to it, like what was going on is that when people were depositing money on FTX, you think you're buying Bitcoin or you think you're buying Ethereum. And what was really happening is the money was going into a bank account that was actually controlled by Alameda. And it was supposed to be like, in via the blockchain, I guess using FTT token or something else, like showing up in the FTX accounting. But those buyers like essentially never really owned the crypto, which is like so crazy. It's like, think about that concept. Like you go on FTX, you buy Bitcoin or Ethereum, and you think you own Bitcoin and Ethereum, but you don't really own that. They're not really holding that for you. You really own nothing. You're just taking the word of this computer screen that's a notional amount representing what you in theory own. But what was really happening was like the money was going to Alameda, and it was being invested and who knows what else. But the problem was like there's a lack of accountability with what was happening with that money. And specifically, there's like, because someone pressed him, I think it was CoffeeZilla. Okay, this guy had some pretty pointed questions, and he pressed Sam as to like, Sam, you're saying you didn't, you're not running Alameda, but other accounts of people from Alameda are saying that's ridiculous, and you knew what was going on, and that there was a dashboard that you could see what was going on in the different exposures and liabilities and how the money was being invested and traded at Alameda. So he gets pressed on that dashboard, and he says, well, not everything was represented on that dashboard. So there's this other stub account. This is his own words. There's this other stub account which was not being represented on the dashboard, which evidently was containing billions of dollars of user assets, essentially, and he cannot tell us who was managing that, and he cannot tell us what those funds were being used for. So to me, it sounds like this is almost an admission that there was a huge chunk of money, billions of dollars, unaccounted for, that he couldn't even tell us who was responsible for overseeing. He said, somebody asked him, okay, Sam, you were not overseeing that portfolio. Then who was? Who did you assign it to? And he said, this is literally what he said, I left it to nobody.
Bro, he left it to the Anon. The Anon. He left it to
who
nobody.
Is nobody? Who is this nobody? This powerful nobody that was buying multi-million-dollar estates in the Bahamas and contributing to like political efforts.
And your theory is nobody is somebody?
Yeah. If you can find out who is nobody, I think that's how you crack the case on this.
And personally, I think this is a masterclass in psyops. And I won't go too deep into it, but I think this is a masterclass in throwing someone under the bus without throwing them under the bus, right? Create enough question marks about the pile of meat that just got ran over by the bus, and the vultures will come out and pick it apart, and it'll take all attention off of the thing that threw it under the bus. So fascinating, man. I think this guy's running like a PR strat that's actually winning the sentiment of people. But with that said, with risk management being at the fulcrum of that fiasco, I want to introduce Bored Ape G to the podcast. Bored Ape G, he is with us. He has been an ape since Mint. He has been around the block for a while. He's a part of the Hip Hop Ape Collective. That is where I met him in the Alpha group there. For people who don't know, the apes that rock the gold chain understand their lane and they know how to make plays. Bored Ape G, welcome to the podcast, man. How is this whole Ape Coin DAO election been unfolding for you? And also, do you have any comments on the scam BF scenario?
Hey, FaXx. Hey, Goodmonth. Good. Thanks for having me on, guys. And I was around the mint, just to clarify, but I bought my ape like 2 weeks after the mint. I wish I minted though, right? Like who didn't? Like you.
Gotcha. So you're a 0.3, 0.4 buyer.
Yeah, exactly. 0.4. 0.4 was the first one. Yeah. Oh man. Like, well, it's been as you can tell from my voice, and I'm trying to go on mute to cough. I've just been grinding the last month, especially. Kind of burning the candles on both ends. I think in the messages you guys have seen it. I'm really passionate about making changes for our Ape Coin Council coming up. Being a driving force to help make some significant changes. Because I think there's a lot that people just don't understand why it feels like there's so little activity happening in the DAO, and there's just so much potential in the DAO. Like the weak as a community can actually be a part of, compared to like Google Labs, who obviously has to make their own decisions. But in this DAO, we actually have a lot of control as long as we like funnel our resources properly. So I'm really excited to chat more about what we can do. Then, Scam BF. Oh man, it's really unfortunate. We can tell what's going on, right? Clearly, they're trying to make him look good because maybe like the government's going to drop. Not maybe, it's inevitable, right? They're going to drop their own crypto. So it's I think it's easier in the sense because in the U.S. where we are, there's less people that were impacted, even though there were FTX US, and most of it is foreign. But if you really step back, it's like this guy took billions of dollars, people's life savings. So like, I just can't imagine people are going through who have lost their money through this.
Absolutely. Bored Ape G, thanks for joining us. Before we get into like our discussion today about the Ape Dao Council and so forth, I do want to say you came out to Probably Nothing Cup, event number 1, the Send Classic, the golf tournament in San Diego. You showed up ready to let it bang. And on the hole in one hole to win a Bored Ape, you hit the pin. You hit the pin. Oh man, tell us a little bit if you can about that event and that specific shot and kind of like what was going through your mind. You almost won a Bored Ape, man.
I was playing, my par 3 drives were terrible all day. It came onto that. I was like, what, this is good. This is good. Teed it up nicely because I hit my pitching wedge. And when I shot it, I was like, oh, there's a chance. There's a chance on this shot. Hit the damn flag. Oh my God. But fun. It was enjoyable. I think anyone listening to this got to check out Probably Nothing Cup. These guys put on a great event. I missed the Miami event. I mean, you guys can tell me about that. But looking forward to seeing what you guys do, like going forward with this.
Yeah, it was amazing, man. When I saw that video of you hitting that flag and that ball dropping right by the hole, it was stunning. I'm glad I didn't see that in person. I would have been, you made me get the ape insured for the Miami event. I had no insurance on this one. I went out and got that next one underwritten.
So yeah, absolutely, man. We were happy to have you out at that event. We had a great time. It was nice to meet you. And I mean, that's what these kinds of events are about. Like taking it from online to IRL, more networking, getting to know people, having more experiences, also talking about NFTs. Now, you've been a collector in the space now for quite a long time and very involved in trading NFTs. But more recently, you've become very interested to participate and contribute to the Ape Coin Dao Council. So the Ape Coin Dao Council is responsible for decisions in regard to the ApeCoin ecosystem fund. Do I have that correct? Like, what can you tell us about the generally like the purpose of the ApeCoin Council?
Well, so generally they are just there to help steward the vision of the community. So there's 5 members in the special council right now. They were appointed originally. Now we have an election cycle where 3 of the 5 are getting voted in this council, and then 6 months later we're going to get 2 more, right? So they're not there to be like a board that is going to push initiatives without the community's input. They're really there to steward this organization, this foundation, and implement the vision of the community. So like that, in that sense, it's like, understanding what the community wants, and then ideally, my goal is to also propose ape improvement proposals, AIPs, that are going to be in line with the vision of the community, so that we can build out how we can make ApeCoin the token of choice for the metaverse, right? That's the real goal here. How do we push culture into the metaverse, and how is ApeCoin going to be the token for the Web3 economy?
Got it. Absolutely. How can ApeCoin be the Web3 token of choice? So when you look back at from the beginning of when the ApeCoin Council was put into place to now, how do you think it's gone in general?
Yeah, so I think it's unfortunate. A lot of people don't understand that the current council members really took on a lot of personal risk when they're setting up. Right? So when you think about like the whole securities issue that we all live, like the regulatory environment, like they're the individuals who were there at the inception. Kind of like if there was an offer of sale, like these are the guys and gals who are really like have a target on their back, right? And that was a lot of risk actually inherently. Could you imagine always kind of having the potentially SEC look into you because you're the ones that started this essentially, right?
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Absolutely, there's risk, and I don't think they get credit for that. I mean, not in the good way.
People just think they haven't done anything. Like, what have they done to deserve it? Like, look, that deserves it on its own, right? Could you imagine just being that? And I think that's a message that I'm trying to get as many people to understand. Like, look, could we wish they could have done more? Yeah, like, collectively as a community. But I think they've done a lot to get us to this point. And now, three of them really have decided to step off to let the community come in, right? So I think they've done enough to get us to this point, and it's time to move forward. So, like, yeah, and even they've acknowledged they could have done better in certain things like communications, but I feel like they've done what they had to do, and now we're like it's time for us to take the reins together with the current members that are staying, but also like blending in community members here.
Bored Ape G, do you feel that the existing board, the board that did get appointed, you've already kind of called out some of the things, that they kind of ran into unknowingly. So I think there's a lot of understanding given to them. But of the existing board, are there things that you think that if they would have done, they would have done something differently? We would have had the kind of Ape Coin Dao in a better position today?
Yeah, I mean, so let's see. Coming back to like what are the biggest issues right now, which is I think is the lack of like operationalizing the DAO. Like the organizational infrastructure is missing. So like what could they have done? Like really brought in somebody from the community and to really push that forward. I think that would have been tough. I think communication is like the one simple thing that they could have done, but there's nothing else like at this point. I think without getting sufficient community feedback, clearly staking is the biggest thing, which we just started now. There's a lot of issues within that too. Like, could we go back and say, like, I think Dingaling posted today, like, could we have just made staking a lot more simple? We could have, yeah, but yeah, it is what it is. I don't think it's to a point where like it's egregiously bad that where we are today that we would have. If I had to go back and change the council, I would. Yeah, I don't think we're at that point.
Sure. So you think it's fair to say, it's got us where we are today, and just evolving it moving forward is kind of where our focus should be. Now, if we kind of zoom out a bit, we've been mentioning the word DAO a lot. There are going to be some people that listen to this podcast that don't know what a DAO is. Like, it stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. Can you kind of walk us through what a DAO is and how it actually is applied in this case with the Ape Coin DAO?
Well, you mentioned it, the centralized autonomous organization. The idea is you have people, in this case, people that are decentralized that are going to govern something specific by voting like collectively, right? And then that's going to like take an action. So in our case specifically, there's an ecosystem fund which is meant to improve ApeCoin, right? And all the members who have one ape can vote on proposals to allocate that ecosystem fund, right? So in this context, that and the whole decentralized nature of it is supposed to be that it's not just like a board of 5 people that can go make the decision that we're going to allocate $1 million in one certain way. It is like the whole community gets to decide, at least have a say and vote together. And that's like where it's like different from a traditional corporate structure, and that we're going towards. And there's a whole like list we could go through. It's not completely decentralized, right? It's more like a phased decentralization, meaning we're starting with a very centralized group, and over time we're going to go towards more decentralization, and there's a lot of ways we could do that.
And is there a clear vision for what those ApeCoin utilities or pillars are supposed to be? Do we know that, or is that something we're actively crafting as a community?
Right now, as ApeCoin DAO, there's no clear vision. Yes, there's vision. If you go to apecoin.com, you could see the guiding principles of values of ApeCoin. And of course, we have this vision, right, to be the token of choice for the Web3 economy. But how we're going to get there, it's not really clear. Of course, we have other partners. We have Yuga Labs potentially, and Animoca, like all these other big companies. But internally, as a DAO, we have not set like a vision forth of like how we want to accept, like or how we want to guide other proposals to meet this vision. Like that's really lacking, and we're really seeing that in these AIPs where they're just stepping over each other's toes. They're like they're similar proposals but not the same, and then they're not really going towards like a bigger goal, and that's why they're failing a lot of times when it comes to vote.
Yeah, and also like the bear market, I think did cause a lot of people to paper hand their ape coin. And then people who sold their ape coin, they're not going to be as involved or interested in the governance because you have to hold the coin to be involved in the governance. But I do think with this staking that's emerging now, and basically people are going to be utilizing that staking, and there should be like more diamond handed kind of involvement for the purpose of getting those staking rewards. And I think that should naturally also flow through to like some of the activity and participation in the AIPs, right? Which the participation has kind of dipped, and hopefully will kind of resurge here, especially if we get some, bullish news or at least some updates in the near term about what's going on with other side and so forth. Now, so you are running to fill one of these 3 spots that's coming open on the Ape Coin Dao Council. And on your Twitter at Bored Ape G, you put together a thread kind of like outlining your platform, and and Hazy B is bringing that up for us to kind of take a look at. And so I think that'd be like a great roadmap for us to kind of like walk through as to like where you're at and what you see, and maybe some of the opportunities that you think you can bring to the table. And so if we kind of like go from the top there, what are some of the main problems that you see facing the DAO right now?
Yeah, so when I put together this thread, I think a really important thing to note is like because I'm deep into the DAO and understand what the problems we're facing. Not so that when I wrote this thread, it's very specific, and it's come from like conversations with people in the community. Even like Goodmonth, I think you'll see in there. There's words in there that I use from our conversation because I know it's really important to hear from the community to understand what the problems they're facing. So they're the biggest problem I think we do have is this organizational infrastructure, right? The fact that we're lacking. And what that means is people don't understand that there's just nobody working in the DAO, right? Think about like a Web2 company or a traditional company, right? Or somebody launching a protocol, right? So they would have like this core group of people, and then that core group of people will probably do a lot of the work, right? And then hire people out, right? So for the foundation, like Ape Coin DAO, we just don't even have that. We have the special counsel who acts like as that they have to deal with all the legal regulatory things, reviewing like AIPs, and they're really just there to go push the vision of the community, but they're not there to do like a lot of the work, right? As in like if we want to build out an organization that has people in our DAO that can like work on like communication, data, right, and all the good stuff that another organization or company would do. We don't have that, and I think that's a problem that a lot of people in the DAO don't understand at this point.
So I think absolutely like awareness of the problems is a first step. So the lack of organizational infrastructure, how would you propose to address that? Or like what would it take to address that in your
Yeah,
opinion?
so people have different views of like what the role of a special council member is, and I think personally we're too young as a DAO to think that this special council is not going to be the people who needs to push initiatives at this point. And even the current special council members like acknowledged that like they need people like we can't rely just on the community to propose like AIPs, right? Like clearly there needs to be some leadership at this point, right? So for me, I think it's important that I'm going to look to fill this specific role on the board is to go operationalize our DAO, which means like to build out this infrastructure. Like, and it doesn't mean I'm going to just throw my ideas to the DAO and like you must accept this. That's just not how our DAO works, right? Like people have to vote. But what I can do is work with the community, like connect with people, talk to people. Let's draft up what we think is a reasonable framework, right? Building working groups. So a working group is just could be like a group of people funded, but with tasked with a specific duty. It could be like, hey, build out our governance documents for the next like 3 months, right? Or it could be like, hey, a communication team, it could be a data team, right? Like, and we fund them, and this is what other DAOs do. We just don't have that right at this point. So that's what I would love to do: work with the community. I have my ideas, right? But of course I think everyone has better ideas, so we can come together with a reasonable plan, put it up to vote for the community, and then once we do that, then we could really start building out this structure so that we could get more people involved in our DAO and we could start looking like an elite DAO that we're trying to be, right? Because right now, the only thing elite about us is our treasury. Like, that's it, right? No processes.
That's it. It's a good place to start, right? You got the treasury there, and now it's about deploying it. So I think you're spot on. I'm curious, as you experience your candidacy here, and you've obviously been on the ground floor speaking to people in the community, like if you had to throw out, and I know it's, I want to caveat, this is not your decision to throw the vision out for the Ape Coin DAO. It's the community as a governance to vote on it. But from what you're gleaning from the ground floor of the community, what would you say maybe are the one or two collective visions that these people are all kind of falling into?
Well, number one, I would say, is the utility. The ape utility is what people really care about, right? And it's unclear what that is. What have we had? Merch. That's about it from Yuga, right? So are we going to rely on Animoca or Yuga to be the ones leading it, or is there going to be a different charge from within the DAO? And I think that's something that people that's like the number one that people are unclear about, because otherwise what are we even here for, right? If ape is going to be used, and there's been ideas thrown out, like, could we have governance, could we have other communities use our token for governance to incentivize them for holding, right? So I don't know what that's going to be, but we're going to need to come up with it, because at the end of the day, we can't just rely, and maybe we can get other partners, right? Because I don't think, number one, also, we're not leveraging our current network. We're clearly not. Well, we don't have the people to leverage the network. So whatever that means for us to develop the utility, it is, I think, the underlying question that people have had.
Yeah, absolutely. So like incentive structures for the existing network, and understanding, how we can actually like effectively deploy this. Because one of the things, the word DAO has been thrown around for the last 3 to 4 years, and it's very unclear how a DAO can be ran successfully, right? And I think with the treasury that the Bored Ape Yacht Club has, with the treasury that Yuga has for this, within the ApeCoin, the treasury that something like the Nouns DAO has, like it's going to be fascinating to see how these visions can be executed on. I'm curious, FaXx, I got a question for you. With this, election coming up, and being a prior ApeCoin holder and now a newly bagged ApeCoin holder, where's your head at with this type of vote and what's coming up for the ApeCoin DAO?
I really want to see good ideas as to like next steps. Okay, so like what you just outlined, Bored Ape G, is a problem and a series of solutions, and your goal is to like operationalize the DAO and essentially make this the elite DAO that it's intended to be. And so that's absolutely like what I want to hear, right? As an ApeCoin holder, and it makes me more bullish to participate. It makes me more inclined to like contribute if I think that the right steps are being taken, because I have worked with companies and I've been in different roles where you get to a point where it's out of your hands and it's in the hands of other people. And if those people aren't taking the right steps, it becomes psychologically like a barrier, and it makes you less motivated, because it's like, well, I can only do so much, right? So what we want to see, I think it's good to acknowledge the risk that the team took to stand this up, and the fact that those efforts were super important and brought us to where we're at now, and we're in a great spot, in fact, because there is this big treasury. And now what we need is a new vision. We need new ideas. And so far, like that's what I'm hearing from you, Bored Ape G, is a vision to operationalize this DAO and take the next steps to organize in a way that we can have impact and that the community can have impact. Because once they see that the gears are moving and I'm part of those gears, then we're going to see more participation. And that actually brings us to like the next problem that you pointed out on your thread, Bored Ape G, which is that active participation is low right now. So if you could give us like a little bit of information as to like why you think that is, or what you've seen, and what we could possibly do
You
about
actually
that.
just highlighted something that was always stuck in my head with my conversation with Goodmonth, which is that we need to accelerate people in our DAO, right, and their talents, because we have the people, we have the talent, just like yourself, FaXx, right, and we just don't have the rails right now to like use that talent. So and so to your point of like active participation is low, yeah, it's incredibly low. Like people don't even know there's a difference between Discord and discourse. And for everyone listening to this who is not familiar, discourse is the forum where the DAO like discusses all these things. And it's just amazing going through the election, reading people's threads, like they have no idea there's a difference. Like, and that's a problem, right? Because that's like very basic. That's where we need to get more people into the discourse so people can participate and comment. And, so it's not just like the same 30 people like commenting on every proposal that comes up. That's like very key for us to be able to increase participation. And there's ways that we won't have to go through here, but there's ways we've I'm part of an AIP called Thank Ape, and we're going to incentivize people to participate in the DAO. And there's other initiatives as well coming up. So I'm hopeful that like.
Well, that's interesting. Let's not gloss over that, because like real solutions are real ideas. So we know that active participation is low, and you have already have like an AIP out there as to help address that. Can you give us a little more
Yeah,
detail
so
about that?
Thank Ape. I'm on the advisory board for it. It's been months that we've been working on it. This is created by ThriveCoin, who is also a software that Bankless. You guys are familiar with Bankless. Their DAO, they also utilize it. So we've been working on integrate like how we can integrate their software into an Ape Coin version for the DAO, and have real metrics to show how like participation could be engaged. Not this is not like giving people like hundreds of ape, right? It's just like that they're being recognized and thanked for their contributions to the DAO, which like research shows like that actually does it. It's not just about monetization, right? Like those incentives and like people feeling like they're acknowledged for their work, even if it's like nominal, it does like benefit, and that's an experiment we're gonna try hopefully with this Thank Ape proposal coming out soon.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think one of the things that is extremely kind of hard in this space, and it's become a really big obstacle. And actually, OGD Farmer tweeted something out a couple days ago about the reading comprehension in this space being not up to par. And I know with that tweet, I know he wasn't saying people can't read or they don't have good reading comprehension, but he was hitting on something that I have personally ran into a lot as a builder in this space, is that the reading comprehension isn't necessarily opted into, right? And you've put together a brilliant thread. I really hope that people who are considering on voting go through and read this whole thing multiple times. But when you talk about, Discord and discourse and writing AIPs, there could be a language barrier there for people who, English isn't their first language, as everything in the ApeCoin DAO is done in English for the most part. And I think within the space, right, there's a lot of people who just, they want images, they want memes. Their brains are kind of hooked on this short comprehension dopamine cycle. Do you think when it comes to writing these apes and contributing and incentivizing people to use these apes, like, do you think that there might be a medium that we ever get to beyond, long form text?
I think, and look, if you go through, and I'll give you an example, like all the nominee profiles, there's like 42 of them. Mine is like clearly the longest and like so much words, right? But I went with that strategy because I'm like I have to, because this is not let's say I realize my talent is better suited for the ApeCoin DAO than it is, let's say, if I was on the BAYC Council, because it's clearly a different type of organization, right? Like it's like this is a multi-billion-dollar organization that's gonna be run by its community, right? So like effectively you have to have a mix. Like, look, you can't just be like 100% NFT degen that shit posts all day. Like clearly that's not the DAO, right? Like so like it is having to find a balance, and I for me like yeah, it's probably too long, but it's because like I understand the issues, like what I wrote in there, right? But like we need to actually be able to translate that to like the general public, and I understand that. So I'm hoping that, yeah, I think it's going to be like infographics is pretty much the easiest way, right? We need to get people like distill some of my information and put it into nice pretty graphics, like so we can get more people in the discourse. See, even I confuse Discord and discourse.
Yeah, no, it's such it's such a big deal, and it's something that I really want to double down on in this podcast is that Ape Coin DAO is long form, period, right? So you go to Discord, you throw the memes there. The Bake Council might be a little bit more vibes, or maybe there's even some shit posting in there, right? But like Ape Coin DAO is long form, and I really want people to take that into consideration when they're looking to vote. It's reading. It's like going through your propositions of your municipal counties. Like you can read an abstract, but then you have to go in and do all the different kind of digging and understanding. And you've laid out a lot of key issues, and you've also presented a lot of solutions. And you've also understood that like your role is to guide and put things on the rails versus actually get in there, roll up your sleeves and do, because that's not the actual function of a DAO with this board. So it is great to read everything that you've put out there, and we wish you the best in this election coming up. We're going to be doing another episode that kind of goes into a deeper dive of all the things that ApeCoin can provide. And I also think that when it comes to the space of, people on Coinbase or these other centralized exchange buying ApeCoin and not understanding that there's this governing DAO underneath it that's actually going to provide value back into it in the long term, it's fascinating to be able to get this message out there. So wanted to thank you for taking the time to be on this podcast, and best of luck to you in the election.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate your time again.
Thank you, Bored Ape G. We're looking forward to following this candidacy race, and maybe we can get you on some spaces too to talk directly to the community. And we're going to get this podcast out there too. So happy to see it, man. Gold hip hop ape jacket on the timeline, trying to operationalize the DAO. You can never fade that, man. Don't fade this guy. I'm getting more and more bullish in the space every day, Goodmonth, because we keep talking to people who have their heads screwed on right and truly believe in what's going on here, and they want to make an impact. And that being said, this is a huge opportunity here. This ApeCoin DAO, like, we need to make sure that the decisions moving forward are in the best interest of the community, and we need to bring the community more into the loop. And to Bored Ape G's point, like, we need that framework. We need people working for the DAO, on behalf of the community. So, what Goodmonth, what are some of your takeaways here for what you learned today from Bored Ape G?
I think that everybody in the space is always asking when. W-E-N. They're always asking when, and they need to pay attention that it's now. This is the opportunity for the global reserve of ERC 721s that we know as Yuga has a bag that the community can dip their hand into and expand the brand. And it has the people that can give it the vision to be able to let that happen. So, the things that Bored Ape G has brought up is the reason why we haven't seen ApeCoin DAO mobilize like we think that Treasury could. And, the ideas and facts that he's able to bring through on the solutions is, to be honest, Bored Ape G, if you can solve that 25% of the way, you have a drove of people in this community that will be able to create a lot of change. And when you put those type of powerhouses next to funding and capital, and that it's all coming from the brand of ApeCoin DAO and Yuga, bullish plus. Let's go. Like, you're taking that NFT reserve and you're empowering the community behind it. The line management that happened at that Bake NTS party, don't fade Yuga. Let's put ApeCoin DAO folks on there. I would gladly wear an Usher shirt and go out there and look at everyone's token proof and see if they got that trippy QR code they hold up and bring them to the top of the line. I would gladly don an ApeCoin DAO volunteer shirt at an event to make sure that I'm bringing in the brethren, Let's go.
Yeah, so before we let you go, though, Bored Ape G, um, let me ask you, like, what the fuck is a coda? Are you are you holding other side assets? Are you, did you keep your plot that you earned for your apes and mutants and so forth? I mean, what do you think about the other side, and what are you anticipating here as we head towards
Yeah, I actually
Christmas?
got a pretty sick weapon coda with a crystal saber. If you look that up, it's actually pretty dope. Very few of them out there.
Let's go. Crystal Saber. Crystal
Yeah, very
Saber.
matching.
Dude, collector.
Yo, also, before we sign off, I do want to call the story out. I'm so sorry that we didn't hit on this before, but just to show Bored Ape G's integrity and how far he goes back, our boy DillyDilly.eth got hacked about a year ago. Dilly Dilly was on Twitter Spaces talking about his hunt for his Grail ape, the ape that he currently has right now in his bag. It was an ape that Dilly Dilly grinded for 4 months to achieve. He sent the owner NFTs to tell them that he's interested in buying. He hunted this seller down, acquired the ape, got hacked, got in our group chat and said, "Boys, I'm down bad." The only thing he said after that was, "I'm going to get it back." And Bored Ape G went and found the ape that got hacked, that then got sold for a lower price on a WETH offer, secured it off of his own bag, and held it until DillyDilly.eth grinded his way back to buy his ape from Bored G at the cost he bought it for. And mind you, Dilly Dilly took an NFT, or I gave him an NFT as a gift so that he could get his grind back on to get this ape. And Dilly Dilly left every single gifter reimbursed with the money. So not only did he grind his way back to buy his ape back from Bored Ape G, but he gave everybody's money back who helped him get there. And Bored Ape G secured his bag, so now he could get his Grail ape again.
Bored Ape G, why did you do that?
Dude, this guy was just sitting in our, like, you could tell he was trying so hard for like days, right? Because there was a window closing of like, is this guy ever going to get it back? Because like he can flag it to OpenSea, and then so that was the threat he was giving the other guy, right? But like the window was closing. He was trying to get a bunch of trying to get a loan from somebody or like do a deal. And I just sat there. I was like, well, I got another ape. I was like, well, maybe I'll just say I'm gonna hold it. Because like so that's what I did. I had another ape. I was like that I owned with a couple buddies. It's like, guys, if we're just gonna hold one forever, why don't we just like swap it? Like his ape is better anyway, right? Like clearly an amazing ape. So let's just swap it, and like if he ever gets it back, let's make a deal that he can just buy it back. So it just made sense. I was like, that there's a way, like at the end of the day, like we could actually. Dilly's been such a good person in our community, and I was just felt I was in a position that like, fuck, I don't need this like second ape anyway. It's just gonna sit in this wallet. So that's it. I'm a problem solver, right? If I could see something to help out. And also, like, the guy's just fucking amazing. And, like, look at us now, right? Like, all of us as a collective group from that hip hop chat, like, that was a year ago. Like, yeah, so, like, for us to be able to do that, I think it's important. Like, the connections, like, that's more important for the long term. And then, yeah, like, I put that in my posts. Like, that's the ethos I'm going to bring to this special council. Like, I do want us all to be able to make it in whatever way that's going to be. And I'm going to do my best to be able to ensure that.
Let's fucking go. Never fade, Bored Ape G. Wrapping up episode 4. The integrity's there. The background is there. The ape history is there. Are you going to be there on election day? That's the question, FaXx. Are you going to show up?
That's community. I love to hear stories like that. I mean, look, there's a lot of scams in the space, but there's also a lot of stand-up people in the space, and part of the process is identifying those people and remembering those kinds of actions and activity. And, that's where we're at. So again, before we let you go, Bored Ape G, what's your take on the other side? Are you holding some other side NFTs, and what are you looking to, what do you speculate we're going to be seeing happen as we approach?
Oh yeah,
Christmas
we all think that there's going to be a wild announcement for other side, right? It's got to come, or maybe the Bored Ape system. But I'll say like the most bullish thing about other side is supposed to be Ape Coin, And look, if I get on it, I'm going to do my best to make sure we navigate all the legal regulatory that we can to support a big partner like Yuga Labs. So I think at the end of the day, that's what we want, right? We want to see other side flowing with ApeCoin. But what it's going to be, I don't know, man. But we're going to be ready. We're going to be ready to be really excited to take advantage of whatever it's going to be in the other side.
Hey, I heard that every time someone hits the jump button, another ape coin gets burned in the other side, which
we're gonna go through. We're gonna
conspiracy,
go
conspiracy.
Given the last video. Oh man.
Yeah, but I think like the kind of a underlying point that you just made though is that it's not a given that ApeCoin will be in a regulatory position to actually power other side. Like that's still TBD to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
There's some hurdles here. We need some clarifications. And if you're elected to the council, some of those navigating some of that is going to come back to you. And so, when you look at the regulatory landscape right now, are you concerned for ApeCoin? Are you concerned for crypto? Let's kind of finish off with some of your thoughts on that front.
How I always approach things, I don't like to really spend much time on like, if it's gonna happen like that, this is security and we're screwed, like we're fucked anyway. So like, why waste time on thinking about that situation, right? Like, so like instead of working towards like, what if I just assume that it's gonna be fine? So then what do we need to do to like work towards like building this massive ecosystem? Because if it can never be that, then whatever I do is not going to change anything, right? So like, for us in the meantime, then we got to just keep building and just assume that things are going to work out for Ape and our crypto ecosystem, whatever that's going to be with the government regulation coming through. Yeah, it's going to be easy, no, but we can't just sit here on our hands, right? We got to build with this framework. And I think that's what we've seen with Horizon, right? Where their UI, they can't make it in the US, but it's fine. People can access it. So I think that's just an example of like, we got to just keep building and just see how the regulations play out.
Yeah, and I think that staking workaround, right, is a bullish call to understanding that we're going to work around this. We're going to feed the demand. And if the letter of the law forces us underground, so be it. If the letter of the law forces us to the other side, so be it, right?
Plus, the other thing is like, if it turns out that, these are deemed to be securities, well, what that means is that they just need to become registered. And there's a process for that. It's not like, oh, this is security, so it's dead. It's like, okay, this is security. Okay, then it needs to be registered. And there's a process to that. And I think that people will be able to navigate that ultimately, right? It's like at the end of the day, why do things need to be registered? And why do they need to be called securities? At the end of the day, it's, Uncle Sam wants to get a haircut and there's a procedure to that. And, there is a future on the other side of regulation, no pun intended. But with that, Bored Ape G, thank you for your time. Goodmonth, Never Fade, the NFT podcast. I'd like to see next episode we dig a little bit more into the structure of the Ape Dao, Ape Coin Dao, and like kind of the AIP proposals, and also the staking mechanisms, and just hit a little bit more on some of that. But I learned a lot today. Goodmonth, did you learn some things today? Are you bullish? Are you still bullish? Because I know you're generally pretty bullish. Are you still bullish?
I just hit buy button, If you just saw me pick up my phone, I just hit buy. I just bought it off the chain. You can't ever accumulate enough ape. I'm bullish on the maturity. Maturity happens with scaling. It's impressive what Yuga's been able to do in such short time, and it's because of the people that have rallied around them, like the Guy Siri effect, right? Yuga wouldn't be what Yuga is today if Guy didn't just attach himself to them and show them the way in their first tranche, their first year out the gate. And they're going to continue to have these type of activations, right? Human capital activations. Bored Ape G is an example of a human capital activation. and he's going to bring that intellectual IP that he has in that big brain over to the community to just, extend it and make it more extensible. So yeah, I think there needs to be more of these things though, right? Like these elections can't just be the drivers. There needs to be like community voting. I want to go toe to toe with some community members to provide service and products for the community, and that may the best service and product win. That's how iron sharpens iron. And eventually I have this crazy vision that we're all going to be working for the DAO one day, pulling off our payments those ways anyway. So let's hook into it.
Human
Bullish.
capital activation. I'm tweeting that right now. Man, I'm gonna tweet. I get some of my best tweets from this guy. You guys don't know. I just talk to him. I'm like, oh, that's good. I'm writing that down. Tweeting that out. Follow me. I'm at FaXx_ETH. Follow at Goodmonth. Follow at Hazy B, our producer, and at Bored Ape G. Thanks for joining us. Never fade the NFT podcast.
Well,
Let's get it.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. RP got that heartbeat. Bridge built to the swamp, now the apes all barking. Picking up bananas like you ever heard a cat laughing. They on time sweeping. What's left? Got a red disease, call it out of weight. Headed down from the treehouse where the floor apes mate. Banging on the door for Ghana to let us in. Wi-Fi rotated, new pin, ape in. Checking the collections in the trace all copped. Homage is non-stop, the colors all pop. Admiral Code Devil horns don't miss. Yellow BG with the floor skin hits. Let's get it.